Hey Christy, this is Sean, Outdoor Sports. We just finished up your boat. Everything's ready to go. So if you get this before you set up the shipping, you're free and clear to set up the shipping. I'll have it all put together for shipping for you, but I just wanted to put this walk around video together just since you haven't had a boat like this, show you how to use it and everything. Obviously up on the front of the trailer, you got big stairs. That's the easiest place to get on and off the boat while it's sitting on the trailer like this. As you can see, the forward bimini basically covers all the way to the front. There's straps for the forward bimini there, straps in the rear. We'll hop up in the boat and I'll show you how to do that. All right, Christy, so now we're up in the boat. Show you a couple little things here. Obviously your trolling motor right here is all set up and ready to go. Unfortunately, when these things are on the trailer, it's not super easy to deploy them because you have that stair set I just mentioned kind of in the way. But to deploy, you push this down and that whole component will drop into the water. I don't want to do that now because I don't want to drop it onto the trailer for you, but to stow it, pull it back in place, and that locks in place. There's a little pin on the side right here that you can pull that off and completely remove the trolling motor. And then if you can see it on the video here, there's a plug right here that will plug in. It only goes in one direction, and that's going to give you power to the trolling motor. That's basically, anytime you're not using it, something you want to unplug. Moving on to the seats that I'm sitting in, there's two up front and one in the rear, and they're all exactly the same. There is a little release lever on the bottom of the seat. In the down position as it sits right there, that's released. Able to free spin, so just like this seat will, it'll spin 360 degrees, it's not locked in place, and it'll remove. Anytime you're transporting the boat or want to lock it in one position, it'll lock forward, backwards, or side to side. You want to put that in the up position. Put it back on the pedestal here, and then as you can see, it's locked in place. That's how you're going to want to transport the seats. One more thing on the seats, if you remove it again, there's a little push button on the pedestal. That removes the pedestal. You can stow this away and you got a lot more room to fish off the front, lay an air mattress out, anything like that. Are just simply storage. If you look, you open them up. Awesome place to put extra life vests, an anchor, fishing equipment, anything like that. Under a handful of the seats, you got this seat back storage right here. And that's a really awesome place to put anything you want to keep dry, you know, not really anything that you want wet. These compartments will typically be a little more wet, this one especially because it's a live well. There's a switch on the dash that we'll get to in a second, and it'll operate a pump that picks up from the back of the boat, sucks water into here. It's hard to tell, but right here there's a little valve. Right here, if you just on top of the spout, just this section of the seat, that's to shut the water flow off of the live well. So if you only wanted to fill the rear live well, you can. You could just make a good cooler if not. Then there's a little spout in here. It's like a bathtub overflow drain, if you will. And it basically just prevents you from overfilling the live well. So it's threaded. There's some threads and a hole that it goes into. To drain the live well, you literally just unthread this and all the water drains out the bottom. It's going to be the exact same in the rear of the boat. The live well directly in the back, right by your battery. That's the second live well, and it's going to act exactly the same as that. Moving on to the back here, the table, really straightforward and simple. It just lifts straight up to remove, and then there's nothing to do to put it back on. It just pops in place. But for storage, it'll fit under this seat. It'll fit under the seat back if you wanted. But just unthread this seat post, or I'm sorry, table post. It comes right out. And if you look, there's a little T. All you have to do to put this in is make sure that T is threaded all the way out. So just turn that counterclockwise. And then there's a slot that corresponds in this seat base, table base, and you just turn it and tighten it up. You don't have to go too tight. You want to be able to get it off, but just make sure it's snug. The table's not going to come off. You don't want to leave this up for transport. So when I set the boat up for you for transport, you're going to definitely want to remove the table. Otherwise, you might lose this going down the road. The driver's seat has a very similar setup to the front seat, except there's another lever under the right-hand side that's going to allow the seat to slide forward and backwards. If you look right here, it'll slide forward and backwards. As far as everything else on the boat, another thing that these all come with, these little removable cup holders. You definitely want to take these out for transport. All it is just a Velcro strap that goes right here, and it Velcros along the top edge of any of these seats, and then just folds down wherever you wanted to place it. Don't lift your seat up by these because you can tear this little tab that holds it in place, but this is a real good spot to store these things right here. All of your owner's manual packets and everything are going to be right inside of this compartment right here. I'm also going to put the boat keys and everything in there as well. As for the back of the boat, this seat works exactly the same as the front seat that I just showed you. Swivels, it's locked in place now. We'll leave it locked for transport. I also like to fold the seats down for transport. Really good way to transport them. All the gates lift up and go in. So the front and rear gates, the easiest way to open them and the side gate is to just open it by the hinge. So closer to the hinge, not where it shuts. That way you get a nice smooth motion up and down on that. And then there's a little latch on the back side of all of them just to keep them shut for transport and while you're on the water. The only other thing I wanted to show you about was the bimini top here. The bimini top is pretty straightforward. Obviously we've got the one piece all zipped together here. You can run just the rear bimini without putting the front up. You won't be able to put the front up and have the rear closed. The easiest way to undo all of this is going to be to just take your zippers, undo your zippers here. And you can see that just comes off. There's another zipper that opens from this side to the center. And as you can see, the bimini top's kind of held up in place by this framework. And I'm going to undo both the straps. I like to take the straps off for transport. If you look, all you have to do to tighten and loosen this is pull this strap up to loosen it, pull it down to tighten it. And that's going to work the same on all 4 bimini straps that the boat has. All of the bimini straps will also be put in this compartment, just so all of your pertinent stuff is right here. Just folds kind of back, and then this canvas is designed to wrap completely around. And there's a little cover for it that we will put on real quick. This is actually going to be the canvas for the rear. I will locate the canvas for the front bimini. So hopefully, so what I'm just doing here, I know we just cut, it's going to just make sure we wrap this as tight as possible. That way it has a nice tight fit, nothing's flopping in the wind. They make these forward bimini covers kind of tight, just so they're not flying around, just so you're not losing them going down the road. And these will zip from the inside, so the middle of the bimini, to the outside, and it works like a regular zipper on like a zip-up sweatshirt or anything like that. And you want to just tuck these up into the frame, or into the canvas, this boot here, and that will just allow everything to be kind of tucked up nice and neat. There's a little strap on the outside of these that just prevents anything from coming undone while you're going down the road, and that just clips with a little, just like a backpack clip. Do the same on this side. So to undo the bimini and lay it down for transport, this one will actually lay down almost flat. There's a little knob. You want to lift up on this guy right here, push that up, and that'll move towards the back of the boat. Now that leg's free. It's got its own little clip right here to hold it in place. We'll move over to the other side, and this is where you're going to have to hold the bimini up. And that's designed, just clips forward, legs fall down. Now there's a separate little knob for transport. So that's going to be your transport position knob, and that's where this leg's going to drop into. One person can do all this, obviously, and you just clip that in place right there. We'll move over to the other side, deploy this leg, and that'll flip out, clip in place. And as long as you hear that thing clipped in like that, this one's set up for transport and ready to go. A little bit easier because it's got a hydraulic gas strut in it, but there's a trick to it. So again, removing the bimini straps. All I do to do that is just pull up on the strap, it loosens up. Take them both off, and again, all the straps right here. Now, my favorite way to do these is to actually kind of grab it from this section, since you can stand on the deck and get to it fairly easy. If you just pull this back, those two bows are going to bind. So push up here and then kind of catch it right here. That all folds back and clips down. Make sure this is clipped in place as well. Now this is a really cool feature on the Sun Tracker pontoons. There's these little tabs. You literally just pull them out so they sit kind of at an angle like that. And there's just a little detent that holds it in place. So hold it there, and then pulling from the middle, the whole bimini top will lower. And then there's little clip spots that we'll put the bimini into, just like we did up front, just a slightly different style. It's the same type of round little puck. And then I'm going to repeat the process for the rear bimini, but the one thing I'll tell you is it doesn't zip any differently, except the Sun Tracker logo goes towards the front of the boat, and this is cut out for your anchor light. The anchor light's off the top of the bimini, and that's for any time you're on the water at night, you're going to have that on. All right, so now we're sitting at the console. This is pretty much where you're going to operate the boat from. We're in the driver's seat. It's got your steering wheel, your throttle and shift controls, trim buttons. All of the boat is going to basically be operated from right here. As you can see, we've got the fish finder GPS depth finder installed. And over here, if you look at it, we have a handful of switches. And I'm going to start explaining things basically from this side over, and then we'll get into the throttle and shift. So first off, none of these switches and nothing on the dash is going to have power without hitting this one that says master power. Master power turns everything on. Then as you can see, the little red button over here, horn button there. Aerator, that's going to be what I was talking about with the live well fill. If you hit that, both live wells will fill unless one of those valves is off. That's just a regular ball valve that you can turn on and off, and each live well has it, so you can choose which one to fill individually. If they're both on, they will both fill. Courtesy lights, there's just a handful of lights located underneath the seats throughout the boat, couple on the front, so give you light getting on off the boat. That's what the courtesy lights will do. Navigation and anchor lights is a pretty straightforward thing, but it's a Coast Guard requirement that any vessel on the water at night has navigation and anchor lights. So if you're on the water at night and you're not moving, you always have to have your anchor light on. The anchor light is going to be the one that's off of the back of the bimini top, and as you stand the bimini top up, that light will point up. And when you hit this in the down position, this is a 3-position switch, in the down position is going to be anchor light only. Now, anytime you're on the water at night and you're moving, for example, you're not anchored in a cove, you're actually going down the lake, going down the river, and you want to basically let other boats know where you're at. You're going to always have a red and a green on the front. That's going to be called your navigation lights. This boat's equipped with little LED navigation lights, and it's going to basically have a red light on the left and a green light on the right. And if you look at it, you hit this switch in the up position, so where it says nav, that's going to give you not only the red and the green, but also your anchor light. That basically just tells other boats that, hey, I'm moving, I'm going down the water, and they can get an idea based on the color of the lights they're saying where you're at. The middle position is always going to be off. As a general rule of thumb, you want to make sure you leave all your switches off when you're storing the boat. But the good news is, if you hit your master power switch off, that'll always shut everything off. Moving over here, I'll show you. You got your key switch, and we got some gauges. Fuel gauge, trim gauge, which is going to indicate where the motor's trimmed to. It is set up for the trailering position right now, which I'll walk you through how to take that off and everything. And then a tachometer. This will tell you your GPS speed and everything like that. I'll hit the power button. It might be difficult to see while we're on the screen, and that takes a couple seconds to load. While that's loading, I'm going to click over here and show you how I'm going to move over here and talk about the stereo now. The stereo is actually only going to operate off of the switch, so if the key is in like the accessory run position, then we can come over here and hit the power switch on the stereo, and as you can see, it's turning on. This is a pretty straightforward AM, FM, Bluetooth. Right now it's not connected to Bluetooth or anything, but we just have it on an FM station, and the volume up and down. There is an owner's manual on this, but it's pretty straightforward. If you can connect a Bluetooth speaker, you should be able to do this. Pressing the mode select goes to your Bluetooth music, and then you'll go into your Bluetooth on your phone or your device and connect to the JVC audio. I think that's what it'll be called. Click again, go into your aux input. The aux input's going to be located off of a cord right behind the console here. So just inside of the cooler compartment, hanging on the back, you can plug in an aux like a regular headphone cord. To shut this off, you can push and hold the power button or shut your key off. The fish finder is now powered up. I'm going to select English OK. Obviously we're doing English. This is just a warning, do not use this as your main navigation. If you click on this, the device does not need to be configured, and we will have you register the device later. There's a whole box with this actually up in the front storage compartment on the other side of that seat, and that's going to basically allow you to see everything that we installed on it. But if you look right here, it's showing obviously we're not moving on the water, and there's no depth because we're actually not in the water, so it's not going to read depth. As you can see, this thing has been sitting in the sun for about an hour, so the 106.6, it's reading off the back of the boat. When it's in the water, it'll pick up water temperature, not outside air temperature. This is the trolling motor control. With the trolling motor deployed and plugged in, these will operate. That's the turn it on and off. The little prop shaped buttons turn it on and off. You have a speed up and a down and a left and a right. And this is all going to be operated from anywhere inside of the boat. It's a nice wireless trolling motor. So if you don't have to worry about foot pedals or anything like that. And it's on a nice little lanyard that you can wear around your neck should you be fishing, want to use the trolling motor and so forth. One other thing in regards to the console, this is a safety kill switch on the boat. It's designed that if you wanted to, you can clip it onto your life vest or anything like that. And if you were thrown out of the boat while it was on, it would kill the engine. If the boat's ever not starting for whatever reason, you want to make sure that this is in place. If it's like that, it will not start. So clipping that in place is how you'll start the boat. All right, so obviously we set the boat up for transport and everything as we did in the video just before, but I wanted to show you the back of the boat. So this right here, this little bar that connects from the trailer to the motor is just a support to hold the motor from bouncing going down the road, takes all the stress off of the transom and the hydraulic system. Over here on the back of the boat, we've got a strap on both sides. Those are really simple to undo. Just pull them up and they come loose, and then they hold the boat in place. And then this water tube right here is actually where it's going to fill the live well from. So just remember, as long as that's in the water and you hit that aerator switch, it should pump water into those live wells. Right here, this device right here is actually what's picking up the depth and the water temperature. It's basically your fish finder transducer, which is going to pick up all the sonar doing that.